Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to F1 Manager. It's been a few days. Honestly, it's been because my voice has been pretty bad, and you're probably hearing it throughout this video as I'll have to take pauses to get this recorded. I'll probably also be potentially a tad unclear and a tad low, since I'm speaking slower and also a little bit more controlled than what I usually do in an attempt to make my voice last a little bit longer. So, we are back with Alfa Romeo. We are currently 25 days away from the Dutch Grand Prix. We just finished the quote-unquote halfway point of the season. Although it's a little bit past half, we have 10 races to go. We have 530 points ahead. We're basically 200 points ahead of Ferrari, which are leading the Red Bulls. Championship-wise, we're looking pretty good here. Both cars and driver for that matter, clear of third. And we're still leading the pit stop championship. So everything is currently going to plan. Probably better than we anticipated. And in terms of the cars here, we do have a little bit of damage on this one, but it's not a big deal. We should still be able to make this work. Now, we should have some things coming up, the underfloor research, things like that. We're still just going to be focusing research. I still think that is the best way to develop a car, because generally you'll end up saving a little bit of money doing it this way, I feel. But yeah, we have research complete here on the underfloor. I should probably have checked if I had, did something silly, like saying I would save a research for next time, because as I said, I do tend to forget. I'm quite scatterbrained in that part. I'm used to before I leave a game to make everything ready, which I probably should be doing in this game too, to be fair. Now with that said, we do have a bit of a research benefit here from that underfloor, around 2% gained, which honestly is not bad. Underfloor is getting up there. It's getting closer to our rivals, which is what we like to see. And what we want to do immediately is just start another research. As you can see, the only thing that is getting hit by a technical change is the underfloor, and mainly the low speed part of it. So we could, if we really wanted to, use some CFD time here. But I think I plan to use it somewhere else, and my silly mind has actually forgotten where. But as you can see, wouldn't actually get a huge boost from this. Drag reduction, the airflow sensitivity would be nice because it is actually lagging behind, but this isn't actually a huge boost for us right now. Might be better to put it in rear wing, front wing, one of those. And if we have a quick look here at our board and where we're actually right now at, with say the underfloor, we haven't actually put any safety time into it, so it might be very viable to do that. Suspension, not received any safety time yet according to this, I would assume. Rear wing, no safety time. Front wing has had safety time, I think. No, this is just 2 projects. What have I been using my safety time for? Unless this is very inaccurate, I don't understand what's going on. Let me check the calendar. We're in July. We had the current safety period start right here. So we're in the 4 testing period. I think 4 weeks ago. This is where we're at right now. I just need to figure out what's going on here. Because what I'm thinking is that the board there isn't actually showing the research that we have put CFD time into, which would somehow make sense. But yeah, I would assume that we have used 2 CFD periods and that they've gone into most likely the suspension and maybe the underfloor. Research projects completed. We have only done 1 for each of these though, so yeah. Did I go aggressively on the sign here because we might be ending the series? Potentially. I've definitely gone very aggressive on chassis. There's no way around that. So yeah, we've probably done something a little bit unpatrolled here that I wasn't actually planning on doing. Or, don't remember doing. But I have been sick for a couple of days. It has knocked me off. We've done side pods. I guess we did power through and do something that I would usually say is pretty silly. But makes sense if you're planning to end your save. Probably within a season or 2. Now, I do know a lot of people do enjoy the Alfa Romeo save. But at the same time, I have kind of completed my objective here. And if I continue this, I would do the same, basically what I'm doing with the AlphaTauri one, where I'm keeping 2 drivers, 2 female drivers. On the other hand, I could, of course, also go ahead and, split this into around the grid, but I opted against that. So it currently doesn't really have much of a purpose, which is a bit of an issue. With that said, though, I do think that we are just going to do research here, and we're just going to research that underfloor. Well, the gain isn't huge. It's sizable enough that it makes sense. So We should still have 2 more safety periods to go. We can put that in rear wing, front wing, or even suspension if we really want to. But this should be enough that we alleviate some of the loss that we're going to be having from the, you know, regulation changes. So that's fine. I think this is okay. So yeah, finally we can get going. A bit of a roundabout way to get it back into it, but again, it's been a few days. I'm still a little bit woozy, so we'll see how this goes. Front wing manufactured brings us up to 6 again, I believe. The underfloor manufactured brings us up to 4, so we should be back to full stock, so to speak. We can increase the construction speed of the team hub by 3 days for 120,000. I think I'm going to ignore that. I don't think any sane manager would actually accept such a deal. Monthly car development report, we're still first in cornering, which is good. We're lacking that bit of top speed, but honestly, so far that hasn't actually been a problem. The board has high confidence. Development update. We did get a message that Bottas was declining, and we can actually see it happening in real time here. Increased adaptability, but he lost 2 points of control. A point of smoothness, 2 points in overtaking, a point of defend, reactions, and accuracy. On the other hand, show is still developing, and Porsche here has had a field month with 4 upgrades. So, yeah, a bit unfortunate there. The Bottas is already declining pretty hard. He is winning. That's the thing. 34-year-old winning. I don't see why he would be declining as hard as he currently is, but I guess it is to kind of balance things out a little bit. Our pit crew currently says that it's exhausted, but as noted earlier, I'm pretty sure this isn't really factual, so to speak. But at the same time, we did run our pit crew incredibly roughly last time out, so from that perspective, it does make sense. I'm not going to say it doesn't, because it does. We did kind of run them ragged. But from the perspective of the tiredness, particularly for races, it doesn't make much sense. So that is basically my problem with this. Okay, so we're still gonna... Yeah, that's fine then. Let's just do it like this. That is absolutely okay, and we put in a little bit more gym training. 13% risk is still fairly high for your pit crew, but it's an acceptable risk. I think. I'd say that is a-okay. It's not something massively, you know, negative for us. And honestly, the smart thing here would be at this point, when we're leading the pit crew championship too, to instead of focusing on pit stop times that we can't actually get much lower than what they already are, we should probably be focusing on getting the pit error chance down, because that too does cost a decent amount of time. And if you get them at a bad time, they can really, really ruin your race. But that's all about, you know, opportunities, chances when things happen. Maximize the team hub, finally. Took us a while. It is what it is, though. Rear wing research complete. And I think we're just going to go with another rear wing. We do want to alleviate the changes for next season as much as we can. It's not a huge boost, again, by any means of the imagination. But we do want to, as I said, cancel out those regulation hits. Now, keep in mind that the rear wing isn't a huge source for low speed cornering anyways, so it's not actually a big deal. But suspension is going to be a bit more of a bigger deal. It's where most of our low speed cornering is coming from, along with our front wing, as well as our brake cooling. So research on this is actually really, really beneficial. I probably should put an ATR period, or 2 for that matter, into that part. And I probably would not be losing out. The gearbox is in poor condition. We already know that for Show's car. We don't really care though. And the front wing research here, another few percentage points. I don't think I actually showed what we got for the suspension, but yeah, it's around the 65% mark. The front wing here is a tad higher, actually a tad too high, as you can see. So still need to get, you know, most of that low speed loss mitigated if we can. It would be nice. But as you can see, we barely gain stats from doing front wing projects. These are the longest projects too, and the most expensive. So we might just allow the front wing to deteriorate and say catch up with the chassis, catch up a little bit with the side pods, and maybe even just focus the suspension a little bit. It might not be, you know, it might not sound like a, you know, hugely beneficial idea, but it could help if you're in a little bit of a struggling position, so to speak, by basically just letting off a little bit of pressure. Number of drivers to top 10. We'll go for that. With that, we'll head to Dutch Grand Prix. Practice will be wet, but the race itself will be dry. And this should be a fairly fun one, honestly. And as I said, we'll have to see exactly how long this episode will go for, but we'll at least get through the Dutch Grand Prix. With the patch upgrade from, well, 1.7 to 1.8, there's been some changes to qualifying in particular. I have recorded, well, what little is of the video up to this point before that, but from here on out, it's going to be on 1.8, and we're probably going to have a little bit of a look on some of the fixes, in particular in terms of qualifying. They have fixed, you know, the cars, other cars blocking you in your flying laps, and I thought we'd have a little bit of a look at that. So another thing they've fixed is that if you want to do the two-lapper now, you no longer need to do this between each session. You can just keep it like that. But honestly, right now, again, the best strategy for quality is just to do one flying lap and two flying laps if you need the stability. But honestly, if the cars now are actually genuinely getting out of the way, that shouldn't really be a problem. So let's just test out here in quali what they're actually doing. I don't think this is a wet one. It isn't, so we should be safe. Generally, what I like to do is just send both cars out. We just want them to set a time here. And then we'll have a look a little bit towards the end. Now, they have apparently also done some work here with the rubber. But as you can see right now, the rubber here doesn't actually change much, if any, throughout the session. So it doesn't really have any effect. But that is fine. As I said, what we want to do here is try and get out in a very, you know, populated area, so to speak, in order to try and test a little bit on how the AI is getting out of the way actually works. So what we want to do is try and get our flying lap started around here, when the others start, you know, to get out before their final flying lap. And that should give us a massive amount of AI that we're going to have to get through. 2 minutes we might have rain. I think that is not accurate at all, but okay. That's a bit interesting. But yeah, we probably do need to send our cars out right now. And I might have waited too long, but we'll just have a look in Q3 then instead. For now though, Bottas is starting his flying lap. We have Show on his flying lap. None really, you know, in the way here.
We are P5.
But what we might see is
that was a really good lap. Slow in.
Potentially one of our drivers being in the way. Not really, but yeah. We'll, I guess, test it in Q3 instead. Yeah, my timing there was off. I was focused on something else. Sorry about that. But yeah, we'll test the quality here in Q3. We'll just wait a little bit longer before we send them out on their first run. And apparently no one wants to send their cars out. There we go, Stroll is out. We do have a little bit more time here to play with, so it's fine. Do it like this. Send Bottas out. And we want to look at Show now on his flying lap. If he gets obstructed in any way, shape or form by Stroll, who just finishes his first lap, Show here now is going to come in full speed. And we can see it's probably better to just look at Stroll, honestly. And as you can see there, he actually steps aside and slows down. That is brilliant. That is actually pretty nice. For Bottas, he should be starting his flying lap right now. I don't think there's anyone that will be in his way. As you see, Leclerc, even on a straight. Okay, I don't know if I like that. Even on the straights, they kind of step out on the line. But as you can see, they do now aggressively get out of the way. So it's not bad, let's be honest. It's not a bad thing at all. It's definitely something that we like to see. But that should solve most of the problems in quality. Honestly, it's better to have it work like that than, you know, to have them block all the time. We did send our Show behind Russell. That was not great of us. But yeah, as I said, it's better to have them do it like that than, you know, to cause problems. Although I think Bottas got held up there a little bit.
P8. Very good lap, Joe. Just cool down.
Need to have a little bit of a look on the lap times here because this ain't good. Might be that I priced him a little bit too soon. We'll have another look in the next quali. Let's just take a quick look at the data view here on the lap history. So, as you see, the lap on the used soft tires was quicker than the lap on the fresh soft tires. That's not great. Is it the same for show? No. Basically the same though, so that is a bit worrisome. Might be that just you need to scrub them in. But it is what it is. We're starting 7th and 8th. We will have, as I said, a bit of a look on the quali next time. I was running a little bit too quickly there on the second run. Because as you can see, Leclerc got out of the way, Stroll got out of the way. I thought they all would just get out of the way, but I can assume probably there will be situations where they don't. And again, I was moving a little bit too quickly there, so next race we'll have another look at it and see how it actually works. Now, we are starting 4th and 5th, so it's not all bad for the Dutch Grand Prix here. The softs are really good, 5/10 advantage a lap. It gets lost fairly quick though. 16, 17 laps in, they won't have much of an advantage, if any at all. And the medium to hard tire is about 27 laps, so if we can, we do want to kind of try and stay on that. 19-second pit lane, 14-second under VSC virtual safety car. So we'll see what we can do. Degradation is fairly aggressive here, if I don't remember. High abrasiveness. So what we might do is start on the medium, go on to a hard set, running full attack, and as we've been doing lately, just put in a conserve soft stint, although that too is kind of worrisome. Because that could underheat the tires. But this looks like it could work really well. So that is what we'll go for. We'll do that for both drivers. We could also, say, put show on a different strategy by flipping these two around. But I think this is the best card that we can play here with the tires that we have available to us. Because I'm pretty sure both of them only have a medium and a hard. So it's either this or we go full on attack and add another stint. That too could work. It's not the worst idea I've ever had. But as you can see, it's actually quicker too. So if we have fresh air, we might just go for this one. But it's viable to us. That's the thing. It is viable. If we think we can get a safe pit stop here without losing any much time, once we go into the soft tires, we'll just switch on to show strategy. So both strategies are viable. This one is quicker though. So we'll take that to keep that in mind. And use that as a base for, you know, it gives us options. With that said though, let's jump into the race and see how we perform.
Get ready for some fighting between. Here we go. It's the Dutch Grand Prix.
Soft, 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 medium. Hard Red Bull. That's interesting.
And it's lights out and away we go.
So we kind of need to leave Paris behind here. Because if he gets a good run on those hards, he's going to be... It's going to be a bit of a pain for us here. Looked like, yeah, a good start. We retained for both cars. Sure, shouldn't really have any problems keeping Perez at bay. In fact, Gasly is the bigger threat if he gets by Perez. So, very good start to the race here. And again, all the cars in front of us are running soft tires. 2 of them are running used soft tires, so they'll have to pit even sooner, which will benefit us. Yellow flag, Ferrari in the wall. That is Charles Leclerc.
Watch out for debris.
I don't know if he's out though. Looks like he might still be able to keep on going. Maybe not. Yeah, I think that's him out. On second thought.
VSC.
Virtual safety car?
Follow the Delta.
That's probably going to benefit us, because even under VSC, the soft runners in front of us are still going to lose, you know, tire. And let's be honest, once these guys pit, they are going to have to go through the entire chain here. Although, let's be honest, Red Bulls are probably going to run away from them anyways, and because everyone will be pitting around the same time, it won't really matter much in terms of getting gaps going after the pit stops. They will not be held up much, if any at all, because as I said, everyone will be pitting around the same time, since most cars are running the exact same strategy. So let's see here, the rubber is going to keep on going up. which should have an effect on the track. It has increased in effect. The rubber has gotten an increased effect in the patch notes. So basically we should be seeing faster and faster lap times as an effect of that as well. Better grip. And for now, we do see gasoline now being a bit of a nuisance, but that is okay.
No more overtake.
Did push the ERS a little bit too far. That is fine.
We have no
As long as we
ERS.
can stay with Russell and Sainz, I say we still have a tremendously good opportunity here. So for now, we'll just keep on things as they are. Use the fuel, let it degrade a little bit. Push these tires, of course. We do have still a little bit of temperature to go on here. Although, as you can see, we are getting dangerously close with the overheating. And they did say something about updating the tire chevrons. We'll have a look at that once we pit, because for now we are going to be pushing these tires incredibly much until we get to that first pit window. For now, though, as I said, we'll keep on pushing, and we'll see if we can get ourselves into probably the lead here. We have a virtual safety car that immediately turned into a red flag. And this is not great for us, honestly. We still have some left on these tires. This is great for any of the soft runners. It's William on William action, by the looks of it. Ooh. It looked like he recovered there for a second, and then he just slid into the barrier. That's unfortunate, but yeah, it did turn into a red flag. We are up into second and third, though. And we are going to have to make a decision here, because these mediums are now not really usable. So I think what we're going to have to do here maybe is just go on the hard. It's either that or we push the soft tire. The problem with that is that because everyone is pitting, and most cars are already on the soft tire, some of them will go into medium or hard. Most likely. And what I'm thinking here is that we just go into hard, and then we might have to do 3 stints on the soft. I think that is the best bet that we can make. It's not a great bet here, because the hards ain't really that good. As you can see, they're just a tenth quicker than the current mediums. They're going to be 8 tenths slower than the softs. And degradation-wise, it's going to take 20 laps for softs to become hard. So we really are going to have to go very, very aggressive on them and adjust the strategy, you know, as we go. But yeah, that's not great. To be fair, though, those soft didn't really get used to much either. And we can see one medium, a medium. Most are still on soft tires, though, so this could get fairly interesting. I believe all we need to do is put deploy on for our boys, and we did lose out to Russell here with show.
Okay.
But most cars are actually on soft tires, and Tsunoda is once again involved in an incident.
John, keep pushing.
But this is what happened.
That's not what I wanted to have a look at,
Out.
because that was basically just Russell getting better off the line than we did.
Is that Yuki
I want to see what happened in turn 1 with Tsunoda. A tad too close to that Haas by the looks of it. Which happens. And interestingly enough here, both Bottas and Show, well, Bottas in this case, not really Show, Bottas and Sainz have got a decent gap going here to the rest of the pack. That's going to make life a little bit easier, but as you can see, Bottas is just struggling at this point to hold on. And that is due to the tire difference. So we could, of course, have gone to a soft here. It wouldn't actually have been a problem, most likely. But if we're running aggressive strategies, we want to be on a slightly harder compound than the cars around us. Now, in the event that we do need to switch up a strategy here, what do we have available to us? Because, well, we are going to have to consider this at one point. What exactly do we have available to us here? We can go for 3 stops with softs. It's actually probably the most viable thing available to us here right now. But again, it's going to depend on how long can we go on these hards to create a gap that will allow us to safely pit. This is about 11 seconds, sorry, a minute and 11. That's a little bit better, quicker than what we currently do. But what we also can do here is just stretch these softs a little bit by running aggressive rather than full attack. How's that looking? It's still slower. So this is safer in terms of not getting stuck by another cars. This is quicker, but runs the risk of you getting stuck. Of course, it can also sabotage you with red flags and the like, but I think for now that is going to be our best bet. I'm gonna turn off Show's energy usage here because, well, he probably will not need it.
No overtake.
Should have done the same for Bottas. But yeah, currently, as you can see, the boys are kind of pulling away. Do probably need Show here to replenish a little bit of energy to make this pull viable. But he has already gotten a second or so out on Russell, so it's looking good. Alonso, however, is going to be probably a different kettle of fish. So, yeah, Alonso might end up running with us here. For Bottas and I think Show right now, we're going to just harvest. We're going to get some energy, and then we're going to try and create the gap again. We have yet another virtual safety car, this time with Verstappen. As you can see, some cars are taking this chance to pit. It is a safety car, so... Question now is, do we take advantage of the safety car to pit, or do we stay out on these tires? I think we have to stay out. I don't think we have any other choice than to just stay out on these tires. There's no real option for us here.
Now we're watching Max Verstappen here. Dangerously close to each other. Oh, and the cars there, unable to keep out of each other's way.
Basically the same thing as Albon. Just gets tagged, slides into the wall. But yeah, Bottas here. Let's face it, it's 14 seconds to pit. Can we put Bottas potentially on a strategy that allows him to use, you know, all his soft tires at this stage to try and make something happen? I don't think it's going to be, you know, workable. That's the thing. But we do have tires available to us. And I'm worried here that I might have used a used soft tire on that quality run for this track. But it is viable, that's the thing. It is potential. And if need be, we can go back onto those, you know, more used tires. But as you can see, it's a hard choice. That's the thing. It's a really, really hard choice. I think for now, what we're going to do is just stick onto the hard tire. A lot of cars are pitting. They are going to be pitting. Bottas is out front, so I think he can create the gap again that he needs to kind of make this viable. So, you know what, let's gamble on a bit of an interesting strategy here today for Bottas. And we're going to have Show just stay out. I think that's going to be the play here. We're going to put you on the theoretically slower strategy. But we'll see if that pull... You know, if it doesn't work out, worst case scenario, we're just going to have to put him back onto the hard tire towards the end. Which also could be hilarious, but... again, I do kind of want to try this gamble. I think Russell's going to stay out. Gasly's going to stay out. Actually, we don't. Now I think about it. I am mentally going backwards and forwards here because I think it would be interesting and kind of fun. But at the same time, it does carry risks. And the risk in this case is that if both Gasly and Russell stay out, as well as Ocon, which is most likely what's going to happen here, then they are going to act as a shield for us. So even if the rest of the pack pits, we should be seeing, you know, these cars kind of acting as a defensive grid for us. Gasly stays out, but the rest actually pitted. Okay. So not as defensive as I hoped. Sainz here might still do it. Russell, Perez, a lot of medium runners. So it's still viable. Verstappen actually retired in the pits. I think that's the first time I've seen that. I think that is the first time I've seen that. Like, we saw Verstappen driving down here, and then into the pit lane, and then he retired. Okay, so basically, if the AI now has damage that would, you know, make it difficult for them to complete the race, do they actually retire now? Again, do I need to make an unofficial patch notes thing again? Maybe. I think I do. Just type this down quick. We can look at the restart in the meantime. Again, I don't think I've ever seen that, but it could, of course, be viable that I'm just, you know, not paying good enough attention. But if that is something that they've added that recently, that the AI will actually now pit when they have massive damage, I'm looking forward to seeing someone have rear wing damage and see if they continue the race, because that, I think, is going to be the biggest indicator of if they've added it or not. Now, we might want to slow Bottas down here, just so show retains DRS, but at the same time, I think it's fine. The other car should kind of slow down now. We can just tell Bottas to lay off the energy, the ERS. And that should give Show a little bit of, you know, the oomph needed to get back into this. Okay, so as you can see, the chevrons have been updated. It's just slightly increased the tire wear rate here right now. So I guess that's what they meant with that. Nothing too major, but still nice to see. The question right now is, do we want to have both Bottas and Show kind of recharge and try and get away from the pack? I think we're going to recharge Show. And I think we're just going to have Bottas deploy what he has left here to try and create a little bit of a bigger gap. And that should keep him safe. That's the thing. That's the idea, that we keep him safe from the rest here. Now, because we have saved a little bit on these hards, we might be able to switch to a strategy where we do use 2 stops instead of 3. I think that is viable. And if we were to do that, let's see here. We'd probably have to run aggressive to make this work. But as you can see, I think it might actually work on running attack as well. It could definitely do that, so let us do it like this, just to have a look and see what we can expect. Like so. And it is, as you can see, it's actually this one. I should just click on that one. But it's still that 2 seconds slower. But with the extra tire that we gained in from the hards, I think it's actually viable to do it like that. We can, of course, still do 3 more stops for soft tires. I think that too would be fun. But it's going to require some bigger gaps than what we currently have. And as long as we are extending these gaps, there's no reason for us to pit early. It would actually be better for us to stay out in that case. Now, for Show, we could use him as a bit of a blocker for Bottas and just have him, you know, play the ultimate team game. But I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're going to use him to create some stretch in the DRS train back here. So once Show gets to the end of the pit lane, we are going to ask him to deploy. And Gasly might follow for 1 DRS zone. But I think Show now has gotten enough freedom that we don't need to worry about him. He's actually gotten released from the cars behind. And this is going to help us a little bit more in terms of getting pit stops done. Sainz and Gasly are now going to be fighting on, you know, a bit of a slower setup. Hopefully. That is the hope, at least. We'll see. And for now, we'll just speed along until we get to that next pit stop. We'll be kind of relaxing a little bit here, although Sainz is kind of gaining on Show immediately again. So I guess Sainz might be pushing. History. Let's have a look here. There we go. This is the one we were looking for. Is Sainz pushing? Sainz is indeed pushing. Look at this. 115, then 121, 124. He's been pushing now to catch up with us. So, is Sainz about to pit again? I doubt that. But this shows that the AI might have become even more, you know, aggressive during the races, which would be nice. We've seen things like this before, but Sainz is actually choosing a very, very good time now to push and kind of catch up to Bottas. So, really, really promising. Now, in terms of the last lap, 15 blank, we're still gaining time on everyone behind except for Paris. So, it's still looking good. We're still just going to keep on pushing a little bit more. We might, once we get, you know, ahead of Hulkenberg here in a lap or two, go ahead and pit Bottas onto the soft tire. Probably going to do the same here for Show. And then they're going to have to, you know, fight their way back up. But Hamilton should be pitting. There are some gaps to exploit here, although they're not big. It's going to be a bit of a risky maneuver, where we might actually end up releasing Sainz to just, you know, do his own thing. But I think we can make something work here by going all 3 of the soft stints here. And as you can see, that it should be 1.7 seconds quicker just to begin with. So if we can make this work where we're flying, then that would be amazing. But it's still going to be a bit risky, honestly. Let's see now where we end up coming out. Bottas, good pit stop. Show, good pit stop. Bottas should beat Hülkenberg. Show comes out behind them. But again, with the better tyre that we have here, as you can see, Show is already even more underheated, just flying by the McLaren. And Bottas here should have no trouble getting by the other cars as soon as he catches up. We'll do a little bit of harvesting though, just to make life a little bit easier for us. But as you can see, we take about 5% out of these tyres every lap. So if we go full attack, they're not going to last any more than just 14 or so laps. Probably even less, 13 maybe. So we do have to keep that in mind. But Bottas now, as you can see, we're just flying by. 2 overtakes there in a couple of corners. And I don't think we'll have any problems just getting back up into the front here. Piastri runs a little bit wide. But yeah, catching Sainz is definitely not going to be too difficult here, I think, within these laps that we have, you know, to pull that off. Heat might be a bit of a concern, but I think, as I said, we'll be fine on that regard too. The main problem now is actually going to be this 4-man DRS train. So let's give Bottas some energy, see if we can pull something off. Do the same here for Show. And that's going to be the main limiter if we can get by these cars quickly and painlessly. Because if we can't do that, that is going to slow us down massively. Now, Show here is actually free again. Pretty straightforward. Bottas up into the back of Russell. Should be getting him in here on the, you know, the DRS zone. And we should be seeing the same here with Perez. So, as long as we catch up to Sainz, I dare say, this is a successful stint. And as I said, we might just go with 3 stops here, because the softs are flying. And if Sainz is going to pit again, that is for certain. Everyone else is going to pit again at one point. So the question is, what kind of gaps can we make before that happens? And right now, Bottas is kind of struggling to get by Perez here. We're going to up the risk a little bit. Show is kind of stuck as well behind Russell. We'll give him energy. And there we go. Although Bottas might get revenge to get on straight here, but he has fresh air. Sorry, DRS. So right now, it's looking good. Let's give Show 2 a little bit of that higher overtake aggression. Should help them out. And we'll speed things along now and see where we're actually at once Sainz ends up pitting. Shouldn't be long now. And also when the rest of the, you know, cars here start pitting as well. Because we're back up into the podium places. Sainz has just pitted, and we'll be doing the same within a lap or two for basically both cars. We are going to have to do 2 more pit stops. Sainz here went onto a soft tire as well. He can make that last till the end, but with degradation, it's going to be pretty bad when he gets there. So still, I'd say we hold a small advantage. But as you can see here right now, with the time gaps here, we're probably going to come up behind Sainz and Russell. Which wouldn't be too great to get up behind Russell, but going with Sainz is fairly acceptable, as we'll just recharge the ERS once we do, and then we can, you know, overtake him after that. No pit stop error again this time. The double stack is a bit risky. Did sneak out ahead of Russell for Bottas. No such luck for Show, but honestly, this is still pretty good. We'll have to make up 19 seconds though, basically, on this final stint, because we are going to be potentially pitting again. Although what we could do here is, just because we are in the position where we're at, we can just run this one aggressive. That would work too. It's going to be difficult here because we're on lap 54 when we pitted. Even if we pit at lap 64, I don't think we're going to get back that time. So this is where you'd have to make the decision. Do we go a little bit more standard, a little bit more aggressive, tune down the aggression a bit in order to make up time? Or do we go for the strategy that we have decided? And I think we're just going to go for it. I want to try it. But the main thing that is going to make, you know, a difference here is straight up, how quickly can we leave Sainz behind? How quickly can we get by him and leave him in the dust? That is going to decide the outcome. So for now, we'll recharge. And once we get close enough to do the overtake, we're just going to try and use enough energy that we can just kind of fly out ahead of him. And, you know, not have to really deal with him at all. Russell finally pits, puts him down into 8th, 9th actually. And we also run out of fuel here. So we'll tune that back to balanced. And I think Sainz is actually kind of pushing. I think. I might need to pay a little bit more attention to this, but this feels like Sainz is pushing. And it kind of is, 121 degrees, 130 being the maximum. Sainz is actually pushing on these tires. At least aggressive, I would dare say. Although we are running really hot ourselves, don't get me wrong. But that is a bit interesting. Okay, we got Sainz probably a little bit earlier than we wanted to be honest. And now the goal here is, as I said, just to have Bottas now give everything he has in terms of energy, in terms of tires, to just try and get out of the DRS zone. Because we now need to create a bigger gap as possible before we pit off these tires, probably around 5 laps time. We need to create a bigger gap as we possibly can. And the same will be true for Show once he catches up. And as you can see here, Ocon, Perez, I think we are going to be able to create the gaps that we need in order to pit and come out ahead of Ocon. I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. But everyone is on soft tires right now. Hamilton's going to be pitting too. This has been a bit of a longer race, unfortunately. But I've enjoyed it, so it's all good. And for now, as I said, we're going to keep on going until probably one more lap or so. And then we're going to have to pit. But as you can see here, Bottas has more than enough gap. Current lap times, we're running about a second quicker. So potentially here right now, we have put ourselves in an unwinnable situation where we just can't catch Sainz. And it might even be a little bit worse for Show. We could actually have Show here again play a bit of a slowing down role. But I don't think that's going to work out too well either. Now, just to be safe here, we are going to allow Show to run one more lap. It is also not the best thing ever. But I think we kind of have to. Because if there's a pit stop error now, which it actually was, it would have put Show really far back. Well, honestly, it would probably still be safe, but, you know, it is what it is. Now, the question here is going to be the big one. Are we going to be able to catch Sainz with the current lap times? And that one is going to be tough to answer, I think. Let's see here, Bottas now. What are you actually running at the moment? 11.3. So if he keeps on doing 2 seconds a lap, it is potential. But it's going to require us to kind of micromanage him a little bit. Show, on the other hand, is going to be a little bit more difficult to get things done with. So what we're going to do with him is probably just set him up here now for a fastest lap attempt. I think it's going to be the play. Bottas, deploy a little bit. Should help him out. Get a little bit more speed in him. And for Show, getting into that final corner, let's just deploy everything. And we want to try and, you know, as I said, have Show take fastest lap here. Because he is kind of set up in a great position to pull that off. Tires are moderately overheating, I know. But it's going to be worth it. Because Bottas is now 3 laps to go, just 2 seconds behind Sainz. So he definitely has possibilities here. We might need to recharge a little bit behind Sainz for a lap or so. But we are catching up, unless Sainz got DRS there from Rick, which would make me very, very sad.
No overtake.
They push Shoei a little bit too hard, but that is perfectly okay. He has already, as you can see, gotten an 8-second gap to Ocon.
Last lap.
We're on the final lap. Bottas gets the overtake done into the first corner. Question now is, can he retain that lead over the course of this lap?
So let's take a look at the replay. Now this was Valtteri Bottas. The opportunity begging to be taken.
Very good. But yeah, I'm probably going to leave most of this race in its entirety, so sorry about that. But we might cut out a little bit more of the rest of it. I was just a little bit interested in seeing how the AI have been pushing. But as you can see, Bottas just on attack tires, going a lot quicker than Sainz. So this definitely worked out way better than I expected. The lap times were kind of, you know, impressive.
What a
But
brilliant win there for Valtteri Bottas.
It's looking good. I do want to, as I said, take a look at the data of this race, because I want to see if the other teams had cars that were pushing every now and again in order to get overtakes done. Let's head into data view here and have a look at, say... Oh yeah, Leclerc crashed out early. That's why he doesn't have any data. As you can see, Sainz actually started managing. Because he pitted here. He goes up a little bit aggressively. I'm pretty sure he ran aggressively for these laps. And then he starts managing a little bit more down here. So it's interesting to see. There is actually AI changes in strategy. the thing though here though with Piastri is he actually, once his tires start dying, he pushed harder. But it seems like they push aggressively in the beginning, then just start managing a little bit more. Norris here was definitely on full attack towards the end of the race. That is usually what you see though. Verstappen, with his red flag, he was still pushing before that. And Perez was actually managing a bit more. Yeah. He didn't actually push in the middle of the stint, he pushed early. And then he started managing. So they do try and kind of undercut you. But it seems like that is just a standard setting for them, more or less. And then a little bit of management in the middle, and then go aggressive towards the end. So, was Sainz push just that? Random? Or did he actually go for an attack on us? Because as you can see, he overtook to 1 there, but we pitted. It's kind of hard to judge, honestly, to be fair, so... Oh, are we seeing that with... We're seeing that here with Hulkenberg, actually. He's pushing. Pushing hard. And then it calms down. So they do use a little bit more random in how they, use the tires. I didn't notice that too much earlier, but it could just be me being hyper, aware of it right now. And that's why I'm, finding what I want to look for. But it's looking good, honestly. I think they might have done that before. And that I just, am, as I said, a little bit more aware of it right now, looking for it. And that makes it stand out. But it's nice to see. So Bottas wins, Show in 3rd, Sainz in 2nd, then we have Ocon and Gasly in 4th and 6th for the Alpines, Perez in 5th, Russell 7th, Norris, Stroll and Hamilton finishes out the points for McLaren, Aston Martin and Mercedes. And, well, we're still firmly in the lead. Constructors then, Alpine jumps up 2 places here, up into 4th, ahead of both Mercedes and Aston Martin. I guess their 100 race plan is going a lot better in this save than in reality, unfortunately. But it is just what it is. Fastest pit stop, we did have that. I'm looking forward to seeing... We're probably not going to see it in this save, to be fair. Because there have been some changes to the pit crews, but I'm not going to be looking for that unless we are on a fresh save. They did say something about the fatigue being kind of weird, but that is, what it is. We'll have a look at our fatigue now after this race. And that should give us a little bit of a pointer of what we can be looking for. We did fail the qualifying position streak because I... made a horrible qualifying error, but it's all good. So if we have a quick look here at our pit crew with our boy here, they're currently weary. It said they are tired, didn't it? Or did I read wrong somewhere? I might have read wrong somewhere. It says they're tired here, and then it says they're weary on this screen. Which makes me wonder. Because 48% is not weary, it's tired. As you see, they're going to be weary on the race day. So, let's skip one of those gym trainings. And now they're supposed to be just tired. Okay. Okay, we'll go with that. We'll give you one more day. Sorry, not one day even. Half a day off. Carbon inspection, we have failed suspensions on both cars. No big deal, we just replace them. Make new ones. But yeah, this episode and probably the next few episodes on both series, kind of, AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo, probably not around the world, around the grid, are going to be focusing a little bit more on what has been changed in that patch. And as such, they will be moving a little bit slower. I'll be focusing a little bit more on, the aspect that were changed, kind of like I've done here. It's probably not going to make for great content, but I will do like to do it like this. So feel free to let me know if you would like to see episodes like this once they release patches, where I kind of focus on the changes in the patch for a little bit, or if you'd like me to just do patch 1.8 test save, which say maybe Williams again, see how the performance looks versus the win in Baku versus the current patch, doing basically mostly the same thing. That could definitely be a way of doing things. For now, though, we are going to speed along. And we have Italy in just a few days' time. Currently, we are doing research, and research sliders are working again. We'll have a look at that once we get some slots available to us. But right now, we don't have any, so can't really do anything with that. Now, what we're going to do here is just be very, very safe. Both cars, top 10 for 5 races. Fastest lap. qualifying position. Again, I feel like it's better to just go both cars in top 10 because that's kind of guaranteed. The difference between having one car in, say, top 2 versus both cars in top 10 is negligible. Very, very minor. But at the same time, qualifying, unless you have a supercar, I feel like this is just, you know, free money. No risk, free money. But let's jump into the Italian Grand Prix. And as I said, we'll take a second look at qualifying there. A proper look at qualifying. Alright, we're back with a new round of qualifying here. So we're going to go ahead and do just that. And this time, because we're in Q1, we have a little bit of extra time. We're also in Monza. We're going to go ahead and allow the AI to do some of their runs before us. So in this case, we waited for... Probably would have been best to send out right behind Albon and Leclerc. But we'll send out Show right now. And we'll go ahead and wait a little bit longer here before we send out. This is probably a good window for Bottas, because he'll have to deal with Magnussen and Stroll. Show, probably De Vries and Norris, although, to be fair, we didn't send him out in the best window for that. What we could do, however, is have a look at Bottas, who is going to have a car most likely show up on his rear side. Maybe not. Yeah, it should be fine. And as you can see there for Show, we did have a car kind of step out of line for him, which is what we like to see. And it's going to be a while before we get some for Show again. Let's switch over to Bottas, who actually has a couple of cars in front of him now. The Red Bull there steps out very nicely. And let's see what happens with these two cars. They both also stepped out quite nicely. So it might be over-exaggerated, don't get me wrong. It might look a little over-exaggerated, particularly at 2 times. But it's very, very good. It is decent. It makes sense. And for Show, is he going to have anyone approaching him? I don't think so. Sainz maybe. Sainz might catch him. So let's see how he deals with that once Sainz get a little bit closer. Let's see how it happens now on the straight. We are, I assume, on the racing line. Sainz is flying there behind us. Are we going to step out of... we're going to step out of position quick enough where Sainz actually came in the middle there. That looked good, though. Didn't really look like Sainz lost much time, if any, at all. So I'd say the current quality system looks good. It might look a little bit rough around the edges, particularly at higher speeds. But it's far better than what we've had up to this point. That I can say with certainty. Because as long as our cars actually get out of the way, it's a massive improvement. Because usually you just have to do normal overtaking maneuvers. Cars didn't get out of the way at all. And I've seen some Reddit threads where people just say, nah, at most you lost a tenth. No. At most you'd be losing several seconds. Because that is the nature of things. If you take a corner slow or take a corner fast, the difference of that can quickly be 3-4 tenths. And if it happens more than twice a lap, you're screwed. And that was kind of what people were annoyed with. Now, I think Show is safer, which is why we aren't sending him out again. But, yeah, this system is tons better. It, again, with the aggressive turning aways there, might ruin your immersion a little bit. But the next step, I think, is having, you know, random, didn't hear the engineer, I didn't get out of the way, and punishments to go with it. But, as I said, current system does look good. It's a much better thing than what we had. And I'll be looking for places where it doesn't work or, you know, things went wrong. But so far, it's looking very, very, very nice. And I do enjoy it a lot. So our quality pace here just isn't the best. We ended up 5th and 8th. And again, on fresh tires, we do worse than we did on used tires. So it might be better to just use a fresh set for Q3 and run it twice. Because this is a bit interesting to look at. The fact that the same set that we use for several runs performs poorer than the set that we've, you know, completely fresh. So, a bit weird, but we'll test that out going forwards too. It's not actually a big issue. We are estimated to have heavy rain for this race, and it's going to be wet for the entire thing. The question here now is going to be very simple. Do we go inters for a few laps before we go wets? And I think the answer to that is probably yes. So the easiest thing for us to do is just go softs. They are going to last the 15 laps, I would assume, that we're going to need. And probably we're going to need less than that. We're going to need, yeah, less than 10 laps. So this obviously should be a no-brainer, honestly. and we'll just deal with the wets as we get closer to it, in terms of when to pit, when to get things done. But we definitely like to get as many overtakes done on this first set of softs as possible, because again, it is a wet race, it's going to be hard to overtake. With that said, there's nothing really much to, you know, get into here. We're just going to straight up get going.
Here we are at the oldest circuit in Europe for this, the Italian Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go.
Lights out and away we go. Again, we are just going to put these too low to lessen the chance of crashing on the first few corners. And also generally for the entirety of the race. Show here had a horrible start. He's down into 8th. Can make it back up to 7th, I would assume. Depending on if the Haas drag races him or not. But everyone now is on actually the same tyre. That's going to make things a little bit more spicy, if you will. And we should see a lot of pushing here, particularly for the first few laps. So, looks like we kind of reached a bit of a stable area. Show is fighting the Merc here for 6th place, retaking it. And with that, I think we can speed things along just a little bit. Sainz and Bottas running together. We have Verstappen and Hamilton running out front. And again, the idea here is incredibly simple. Try and get as many overtakes done before the rain arrives as possible. And this is going to be straight on to Inters around lap, 7, 8. And we might see if we try and, you know, maybe jump the queue a little bit. We're probably going to separate our drivers. Have one pit first, one pit later. Because it's going to be more, you know, safer for us in terms of getting through the pit stops without losing too much track position as a result. So we'll see how we deal with that. It should be doable. We have wet weather predicted. There's currently 10 millimeters, 0.10, I mean, millimeters of water on track. In 3 minutes, it's going to become really bad though, potentially. So yeah, we'll have to see exactly how many more laps we can do before that happens. The current lap time is at 1:24. So with that in mind, and the fact that we are having, you know, aggressive rain, we have to consider if we want to jump in here. That's not going to be really work. Sainz actually gets in early, so does a lot of the others, because that heavy rain has actually started. We might have made a bit of an error here. So let's get Bottas in for Inters. We'll have a look though and see what the AI actually puts on. They actually go full wets here immediately.
I feel we can go into.
Any suggestion we keep out of box?
Because Inter would just be for like 3-4 laps. So I guess we'll just copy what they're doing and go full wets. And we are just going to have to double stack her, I think. It is enough rain that double stacking is kind of inevitable. And I should have just pitted show earlier, but I didn't think the rain would hit that hard that quickly. But we'll see what we can make out of this right now. Everyone should be pitting. And we come out in 3rd. Show really is losing out here now. He's down into 15th. So yeah. Bottas survived, but Show died for the survival, so to speak. We are going to tune down the heat usage of these tires because, well, we don't want to completely burn them out immediately. Put them to conserve. Because these are mainly used on 4 millimeters or higher in terms of water count. So, as I said, Bottas came out here in a brilliant position. Show really ended up getting shafted. And there's no way around it than to, you know, just say the truth. And as you can see, even if we run standard, we are overheating the tires. The goal here now is just to make these tires last. And that is going to be the key here. Get them last until we get proper amount of water on the track. If it's going to stay like this, Inters might have actually been a better choice. So it's a bit of a difficult one. If we overheat them, we're going to start losing performance, which is going to be bad. But they're right now they are going down in temperature, so we can slowly make our way up here and get them into that sweet spot where degradation versus, you know, performance is on our side. Now for Show, he's going to have a hard time getting overtakes done to begin with, but we're going to give him energy, we're going to give him tires to use, fuel to use, and we'll see if we can get him a little bit further up than the current 15th place he's sitting in, even by going aggressive on the overtaking strategy. So it's a bit of a rough one. We'll do our best here for him, of course. We'll do the same for Bottas. and we'll see where we actually end up by the end of this race.
All good.
The AI has actually started pitting for Inters, and we should probably do the same here then, because we are getting very close to that gap. So what we're going to go ahead and do is just pit both cars, and I think that is going to be the play. We'll have to see though if we can go attack till the end, or if we might need to, you know, adjust our strategy a little bit, because we could have probably attacked the entire wet stint here, not really had any issues, but at the same time, it does come with a bit of a risk. So we can potentially run attack on the entire interstint. Maybe I should have taken a little bit of risk here and gotten our cars in a little bit sooner. But as you can see, Bottas has been stuck behind Ocon, just been completely unable to make any sort of headway. And it is what it is, couldn't really get anything done there. So we'll be pitting. Verstappen stays out, but we'll be pitting Bottas, we'll be pitting Show. Taking a little bit of risk here. I don't know why Show slowed down there. That makes no sense. Is it because he's planning to pit? But yeah, currently we are the quickest, the highest up now of the Interrunners. So potentially here, Bottas might be able to jump Ocon. That's going to be the goal. Show here has a bit of a pit stop error. His day goes from bad to worse. But we'll use all the energy. We'll use everything that we have available to us here. And see if we can beat someone out. So Bottas did beat Ocon, which is kind of what we were hoping for.
No overtake.
Tsunoda is now up in the lead. So good one, honestly. Very good one so far. Show up into 16th ahead of him. There's just two. Well, I don't even think he can get Alonso. Well, he can probably get Alonso, but he's back into that 15th place. He is going to have to put in a little bit of work here to really get things back to, you know, the way it was. So we'll see what we can do. For Bottas, the goal, of course, is going to be to try and hunt down Verstappen, but it is hard to overtake in this weather, so we'll have to do the best that we can. But we'll still be, as I said, trying to move forwards. It's basically going to be kind of run it a little bit slower, recharge the energy, recharge fuel, and then go attack. And we're going to keep on basically cycling that until we get by. We're going to have one more pit stop here, and that's actually going to be huge here, because as you can see, we are drying the track. So if we can get into, you know, the correct, in at the correct time this time around, and, you know, jump some of the other cars, that's actually going to be massive for us. We are basically up to the back here of Verstappen. That is going to be the goal, that we jump him in the pit stop, rather than doing anything else. And for now, we are going to be waiting until we probably just hit 1 millimeter, and then we're going to do the jump. And it is going to be a bit of a gamble, don't get me wrong. But I think it's going to be a gamble that's worth it, particularly for Show. We have recharged ERS, we have a little bit of fuel to go on for both cars. For Bottas here, we're just pushing to try and stay as close to Verstappen as possible, in the hopes of, as I said, jumping him during the pit stop. And I think for Show, pitting him on this lap is going to be key. That we get him in, get him onto the soft tire. He's going to come up very far back. We're also just going to toggle on driving clean air, just so he can get by, you know, slower cars a little bit easier. Although it does seem like they fixed that also, because Verstappen was getting out of the way when he had damage last race. That is a different, you know, scenario, but I think that is still something that we need to keep in mind. So for now, we're going to get Show in. He is here with Tsunoda and the rest of the pack, so to speak. And we'll see now if he can get a little bit back here in terms of positions by pitting slightly early. Now, Bottas and Verstappen, they should both be pitting as well. I would think they do. And the question here now is, are we going to be able to catch up to and, you know, overtake Verstappen in a reasonable time? Show is down in 17th. I really should have deployed and pushed a little bit earlier on him. But Verstappen now versus Bottas is going to be the big fight. And I would assume both of them are just going to keep on pushing till the end. Show's up into 12th. We still have 3 interrunners ahead of us, so it's not all bad. Show can still get points out of this for sure. That's going to be the main takeaway here. And I don't think it's going to catch any interrunners, so we can turn him back to driving clean air. And for Bottas here again, taking out Verstappen quickly would be good. So I'm thinking we can deploy, because we have laps to work with. That's the thing. Show 2, getting work done. And we still have one more interrunner in Tsunoda. That is a Ferrari strategy if I've ever seen one. So Show at least up to 8th. Bottas is now up into the back of Verstappen. So we are actually able to kind of get something going here with the changes. We're going to push fuel a little bit too. See if we can make something out of this. And for Show here now, we're going to slow him down a little bit. He has been pushing like a madman, but with DRS, it should make life a little bit easier. Multiple cars have crashed, one of them Magnussen.
Got a
By the
yellow
looks of
flag
things.
here.
Magnussen versus Norris, is that going to be the main event? Could also been a Williams in that, but an unfortunate touch, let's put it like that. Still, though, that isn't all bad. It's pretty okay. Now, the lucky thing here is because we have Rick in front of us, Bottas should have DRS here. And that actually is going to help him to create that gap he needs to Verstappen. So, we're going to tune him down. Verstappen can still close down this gap, don't get me wrong. But it should be fairly difficult for him. Now, Show and catching Hamilton is going to be probably a bit of a pipe dream. But we are running about half a second quicker, so yeah, not really happening. For Show, the goal here now is just going to be to have enough energy, have enough fuel, have enough, you know, anything really to keep Paris at bay. That's going to be the goal there. I think we can run top up. I think that should be fine. But or run full harvest now that we're behind. But yeah, as long as we have energy for the last couple of laps here, I think Show shouldn't have any problems getting Paris back. I probably also should have focused a little bit more on how easily they got by, you know, stopped cars. But it is what it is. I kind of forgot. Which is a bad thing, honestly. I should just have sit down before I recorded this and made a list of what of the patch notes I wanted to focus on. But yeah, there's also, just quickly mentioning this, there's also been some questions about new guides for research and development. They'll be coming, but I just need to figure out exactly how they work first, because there was some word of a rebalance. So yeah, we'll have to have a look at that. We're about to start the final lap, I believe. Bottas still has a very healthy lead. Show here, I think, is kind of pushing away from Perez, so if we give him a little bit of deploy here in these few corners, that might be enough to eke out a gap that is workable. And looks like he did pull that off, so yeah. We have basically completed this one. Leclerc, though, with a bit of a penalty. Did the Ferraris just crash? They did. Basically almost what happened this year in Monza, where Leclerc almost, you know, took out the Sainz with a lockup in that same corner. So that is interesting. Now, Show,
Brilliant win there for Valtteri Bottas.
I should have realized this a little bit earlier, but Show now is actually in a interesting position, because if he gains 2 more tenths, he's gonna jump. He's actually gonna jump the Ferrari. Can he eke those 2 tenths out on this lap? I wonder.
No overtake.
Looks like he did.
Over the line.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he did. So Leclerc loses 2 positions due to that lockup, which is unfortunate for him.
Wasn't that a fantastic?
But great for us. So terrible first pit stop for Show. It put him into, you know, no man's land, but he made it back up to 6th, so still a good effort. Bottas ends up winning. Then we have Verstappen, Ocon, Sainz, and Hamilton. Leclerc with an unfortunate penalty. Perez, Russell, and Hulkenberg scoring a point for Haas. With that, though, Verstappen moves up to 3rd. Ferrari Verstappen battle is still ongoing. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the Alpines can do here, because they are still in 4th. And they still extended that gap. So if they can keep 4th place, that would be hilarious to me. And Haas there doubles their points, making it a little bit more difficult for AlphaTauri. But stop-wise, again, there has been some changes, but we're probably going to have to look at a new season to really see those. So I'm looking forward to test that out with AlphaTauri tomorrow. But now, though, I think we are going to have to end it here. That first race ended up taking way longer than I thought. But it is really nice to see that this quality fix really does look to be working. As I said, I'm looking for things like Verstappen, you know, pitting because of damage and retiring. I assume that's what happened. That's what it really looked like. And if you've seen anything else that you think is unofficial patch notes, please let me know, and I'll have a look into it. So, hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Please like the video if you haven't. Please subscribe if you haven't, as both of those help me out a ton. And I shall see you next time. Bye-bye.